Well, hello there. A little while ago I was asked to review this little action camera from ODRVM, and I thought, brilliant, I like action cameras. I've got several of them and we keep putting them on quads and stuff, so maybe this would be a good one for use in FPV. Now this is a little bit of a tale of two reviews, because what they asked me to do is review it for Amazon, because they sell via Amazon. So I put together a general review for what I would call a normal punter who is just looking for a cheap and cheerful action camera where he might just, stick it on a bike or in a car, or just do some filming and maybe shove it underwater when he's on holiday. That review wasn't about FPV, it was just in general, and I put that on Amazon, and there's a link to it down below. What I found about Amazon, if you ever thought YouTube screws up the video, oh my god, Amazon takes it and mushes it and turns it into something from 1992. So here is a YouTube link of the same video down below, so you can at least see the difference in how it looks. If you came into this video thinking, oh great, I need a general look at what's in the box and what you get, and you're not interested in FPV, go and watch that one. As I said, that is a general review, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because I thought it's cheap for people who aren't into the sort of specialist video application that we are. It's nice, it's 40 quid and you get a bunch with it. But this review is about what you can do with it for FPV, and as such we're in a sort of more specialist type of use for a camera, and this is going to be a lot more critical because we're not just looking at it's a cheap and cheerful camera, this is good. It's up against things like the GoPro 4 and the sort of cheaper end of it, the Firefly 7S. And I've even included the GoPro 2, which I'll explain why in a bit. So first off, on the good news, this is a very cheap camera. 40 quid, you get a camera, this pleasant little box, all these bits of mounts, and more importantly a spare battery. That's all very good, and I zipped through it on the other video, which you're more than welcome to watch. What was interesting about the bits in it is this camera contained exactly, and I mean exactly, the same accessories as the Firefly 7S. Every single thing exactly the same. It's like they bought it from the same factory, they just happened to put it in a posh little box. Aside from that, the cameras are very different. Just physically, if we look at the ODRVM and let's compare it to the Firefly, they're roughly the same that way, but you'll see there's quite a big thickness difference there, which of course means next to a GoPro 4 you have some distance differences. I also noticed that the lens comes out a different amount as well. So to test this, I thought we'll put it on a race style 250 quad, and then we'll put it on a gimbal AV quad and see how it performs. Now right off the bat, I noticed, and my fault for not noticing the spec in the first place before I agreed to review it, is this doesn't do 1080p 60, which is a bit of a killer blow even before we started. Everything needs to do 1080p 60 these days. It's what everybody does. So it does 1080p 30, it does 720p 60. I thought, well, not a problem. Remember the GoPro Hero 2? This did a pretty nice 720 60 and not very good 1080p 30. So I thought I could at least compare those two and see what the footage looks like. So let's get on and get some 250 footage in, shall we? And let's see how this looks. So we're going to start off testing 1080p at 30 frames a second. And it was filmed on a reasonable sunny day, so we got the best chance of getting the best picture. But you can see here we've got some rolling shutter coming in, and it's not got that smoothness. But to be fair, this is what most things would do on 1080 30. It's just not the mode to use, and especially in the GoPro 2. So we're here now in 720p 60, and look, an intruder on the field. It's a Phantom that I met the guy flying this and said hello. So 720p at 60 frames a second looks okay. It's not bad. It sort of copes okay. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it looks all rightish. There's something not quite right with the bitrate though. That's the only thing I'd mention. Certainly compared to the more expensive cameras. Something's lacking. Okay, so over to the gimbal, and there's a problem. Here's my AV quad. It's all nicely folded up, so I don't have to mess around with it too much. This is a DYS 3-axis gimbal. It's a little bit different to the other gimbals, although it's all, you know, it all varies a little bit. If I go ahead and put a GoPro 4 in, it's quite a tight fit, and you've then got this bit that fits over the lens and screws in. But it's nice that's not coming out very easily. Ditto, this is the Firefly 7S. A nice solid fit in there. Awesome. The ODRVM, I can never remember the name. Uh-oh. It is just too fat. It's not going in. It absolutely refuses. What I did do though is double check the TV out would actually work, and some good news there. It uses the same pin out as the GoPro or the 7S, and it uses the micro USB, which is different from the GoPro, same as the Firefly. So I could use the cable I had to check that TV out was okay. Some issues there though. Getting the TV out is fine, but I found the problem was it would default as soon as you select a TV out on the menu to playback, because I guess it assumes that you were connecting it to a TV and wanted to play that. Of course I wanted the live out picture, so I had to go through the menus and get back to the right bit and start up the recording, and then I could do stuff. The follow-up problem from that is that as soon as I finished that, turned the camera off, turned it back on and came to it ready to start wanting the live out picture again, it had gone. It had reset itself back to normal. So I had to go through all the menus again. You have to do that every time you power cycle it. So I managed to stick it in my old 2-axis cheapy gimbal just to see how it would form, and here's me running around the garden, just complete Heath Robinson sort of setup to try and make something at least work so we can get an idea from it. And you know, it's alright. It doesn't look particularly great, it doesn't look particularly bad, but mainly it doesn't look good enough, essentially. So why doesn't it look that good? Because I looked at it and, you know, it's doing 60 frames in 720p, but it doesn't look as good to me. It didn't look as good as my old stuff on the GoPro 2. So I took a look at the bit rates, and I saw that on this one, in 1080p 30, according to QuickTime on my Mac, it's doing 12.39 megabits per second. In 720p 60, it's 7.16 megabits per second. GoPro 2, 720p 60 frames per second, does 15.12 megabits per second. So we're looking at twice the bit rate in the recording, hence we're looking at better quality. Of course, as soon as you start going to the GoPro, you get over 30 megabits per second in data rate, but that's 1080p 60. Now, I said in the Amazon review video, to sum up, this is a good, cheap and cheerful action camera for the average guy that doesn't need a specialist thing, a specialist type of camera that's not doing a specialist sort of job. I stand by that. If you're some guy that essentially doesn't need something special, then this is fine. But we're an FPV, and that is a specialist job, and as such I just can't recommend this for FPV. Yeah, it's cheap, but save up a little bit more. I mean, when I bought this, it was like just about £50 on a sale price. It's up to about 70 now. This is 40, but the jump from here to here is massive, and you get to use it in a gimbal, and it looks way better, and it does 1080p 60, and it, you know, it does 4K if you wanted to. Not 4K and any decent frame rate, but it still does it. If you're on a mini quad and you don't need the screen at the back, and you don't want to pay out for a GoPro session, then perhaps something like a Runcam 3 is the way to go for you. It's got the form factor, or even things like the Mobius type factor like the Firefly Q6, under £50. Unless you are really on a hard budget constraint, this isn't really an FPV camera. Sorry, ODRVM. Perhaps you should get a snappier name too. Anyway, that's my review. FPV's a no-no. General use cheap and cheerful camera. It's all fine. I will see you next time. Bye.